Prakachakacharya, Astatara Satri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anatagopti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, and all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, text number 5. I'm just going to go, because it's a long chapter, I'm going to go right into the verse itself. Before I do, thank you all for coming this morning. It's a pleasure and a privilege to share with you these incredibly great teachings that Srila Prabhupada has so mercifully given to us. So I thank you again and again. It is an opportunity, a pleasure and a privilege to serve all of you, for it does my soul a lot of good serving you. Thank you. Tap tam tapo vivadaloka sisrikshaya me. Ado sanat svatapasahasa chatu sanubu. I do that again, there was a mistake in it. Ado sanat svatapasahasa chatu sanobu. Prakalpa samplava vinastam ihatmatadva. Samyag jagada munayo yad achak shatatman. Taptam tapo vivadaloka sisrakshayame. Tap tam tapo vividaloka sisrikshayame. Ado sanat svatapasahasa chatu sanobut. Prakalpa samplava vinastam ihatmatatvam. Samyag jagada munayo yad achak satnatman. Taptam tapo vidhaloka sisrikshaya me. Ado sanat svatapasasa chatu sanobut. Prakalpa samplava vinastam ehatmatatvam. Samyag jagada munayo yad achak shatatman. Please chant. Yadachak Satatman Taptam Tapo Vividadloka Sisrasraya Me Adosanat Swatapasasa Chatu Sanobhut Prakalpa Samplava Vinastam Ihatmatatvam Samyak Jagada Munayo Yad Achak Shatatman Samyak Jagada Munayo Yad Achak Shatatman Taptam Tapo Ladies, please. Let's get in my mouth. Samyak Jagada Munayo Yadachak Shatatman. Anyone else? No? Okay. So, synonyms. Taptam, having undergone austerities. Tapaha, penance. Vidhaloka, different planetary systems. Sisrikshaya, desiring to create. May, of mine. Ado, at first. Sanat, from the personality of Godhead. Swatapasaha, by dint of my own penances. Saha, he, the Lord. Chatu Sanaha, the four bachelors four bachelors, named Sanat Kumara, Sanaka, Sanandana, and Sanatana. Abhut, appeared. Prak, previous. Kalpa, creation. Samplava, in the devastated. Aha, in this material world. Atma, the spirit. Tattvam, truth. Samyak, incomplete. Jagada, became manifested. Munayaha, sages. Yat, that which. Achakshataha, saw clearly. Atman, the spirit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. To create different planetary systems, that I is Lord Brahma, and he's speaking, I believe it's Narada Muni? Anybody? Yeah. I had to undergo austerities and penance. Do we know the difference between austerities and penances? They're similar, but they're not the same. An austerity is a difficulty. It's something which it's a bit of trouble. It can be painful, an austerity. A penance is generally done for the purpose of ridding oneself of a sinful reaction. In other words, you've done some sin or you've done some wrong, some terrible thing, you hurt somebody, so we do some act to try to nullify or destroy the reaction that we are supposed to get. This way, the pain, instead of getting later, you get the pain now. And so we have seen many pictures of persons, especially in India, sitting for long periods of time or standing on one leg or standing on one's head, which is not easy, but they bear it in order to counteract the sinful reactions that they are due to receive, which they know because they remember having performed the sin. Undergo austerities and penance, I'm sorry, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 sanas, Sanaka, Sanat Kumara, Sanandana, and Sanatana. These 4 sanas, or 4 Kumaras as they are often referred to, are sons of Lord Brahma. Okay? Sons of Lord Brahma. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated. Sorry. But the 4 sanas, 4 Kumaras, explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. So we're going to find out why it became so perfectly and so wonderfully manifested from the Kumaras. The Vishnu Sahasranam prayers, Vishnu Sahasranam, is a list of names of Lord Vishnu. Many, many names. Is it 1,000 names? Anybody know? Yeah, it is? Oh. Huh? Yeah, okay. I want to be sure. The Lord's name as Sanat and Sanatana, Sanatana Tama. The Lord and the living entities are both qualitatively Sanatana, or eternal, but the Lord is Sanatana Tama, or the eternal in the superlative degree. Okay? Does everybody know what the word superlative means? No, I didn't ask for it. I asked, does anybody know it? Put your hand up if you don't know it. Okay, well, you don't know it, and you don't know it. So then I have an obligation to at least define it for you. Or let Archana, was that you, Archana Prabhu? Yeah, why don't you define it for them, please? Yes, superlative means you can't go higher. That's it. And who is superlative? The Supreme Lord in everything. Beauty, wealth, strength, fame, etc. The Vishnu Sahasra, by the way, the reason I interrupt my classes like this, I don't like to see people sitting there like dumbbells, not understanding what's going on, and they should know what's going on, and the only way they can know is for me to know that they know it or they don't know it. And even if one person doesn't know it, I will make absolutely certain that you do know it, because when you walk out of this classroom, you should at least know the definition of a word that Srila Prabhupada used in his books in order to help us understand the Vedic teachings. Continuing. The Vishnu Sahasranam prayers mention the Lord's name as Sanat and Sanatanatama. The Lord and the living entities are both qualitatively Sanatana, or eternal. But the Lord is Sanatan Tama, or the eternal in the superlative degree. The living entities are positively Sanatan, but not superlatively. It means they are of a lower nature. As we all know, the Lord is the most beautiful, most wealthy, these are his opulences, most strong, powerful, most famous, most knowledgeable, and most renounced. All of us have these qualities in latent or dormant form, or even in manifest form, but none of us can ever have them to the degree that the Lord has them. And that's what marks us as different from the Supreme Lord. He has it all, and we have just a little bit, a little parcel, because that's all we are, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We're going to come into another area which I want to get into, because it's very important for us to see that although we but are not equal to the Lord can impart his power to us so that we appear to be far, far greater than any other human being. And that's what we have here in the four Kumaras. I will explain. The Lord and the living entities are both qualitatively Sanatana, or eternal. But the Lord is Sanatana, or the eternal in the superlative degree. The living entities are positively Sanatan, but not superlatively. We're smaller, we're tinier, we're weaker, we're finite. The Lord is infinite. Because the living entities are apt to what? Fall to the atmosphere of non-eternity. That's this world. The Lord never falls to this world. He simply comes by his own free will, generally to do some service for us and even for himself, because he likes to see the living entities. Become ultimately very blissful, peaceful, happy, satisfied. If they are dragged down by miseries, troubles, problems, if they are dragged down by all these things, then how can they in any way receive or achieve the potent or the possible joy which is native or inherent within the human form? That joy which is there is covered over now. Very much, for example, if you want to see the sunshine, and like that window out there, if it's covered with thick dust, then the sunshine will not be shown as being sunshine. It will be cloudy. That's what we will see. But if we begin to clear away the dust on the window there, more and more and more until finally we can actually see transparency or transparent outside. Then what happens is that we have a different view of the world. We see it as it is, as opposed to as it appears. And those of us in the material world see it as it appears. They do not see it really as it is. They can't, because the mirror of their mind is completely clouded with lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, madness, laziness, and so many other lowly qualities, which is the dust or the dirt which is clogging the mirror of the mind. Yes, continuing. Therefore, the living entities are quantitatively different from the superlative Sanatan, the Lord's. Again, Sanatan means what? Shout it out. Let me hear it. Eternal. Good. Are quantitatively different from the superlative Sanatan, the Lord. The Lord is more powerful in everything, in all his... What was this interruption for? I can't hear what you're saying, Archer de Plou. If you want to say something, I would appreciate if you hold it to the end of the class and then say as much as... No. Just, if you get it wrong now, you will correct it and we won't have it wrong. Okay? Thank you. But interruptions and outbursts are not part of the parliamentary procedure that we operate here. Thank you. Therefore, the living entities are quantitatively different from the superlative Sanatan, the Lord. Quantitatively mean in energy, power, looks, these types of things. For example, the Lord is most wealthy. He owns it all. He's most beautiful. He's most powerful. He's most strong. He's most famous. 5,000 years has passed and still people are glorifying him, honoring him, looking up to him. That's good fame. I have never seen any movie star even go for 300 years if the star system is even existing that way. The point is this, is there's no one like the Lord who has the power of the Lord, and therefore he is memorable. And therefore we ourselves should never forget him at all. The living entities are positively Sanatan, but not superlatively, because the living entities are apt to fall to the atmosphere of non-eternity, which is right here. Why do we fall to this atmosphere of non-eternity? We fall to this atmosphere is because in the eternal world, the spiritual world, a desire creeps in. And that desire which creeps in is the desire when we see the Lord being so powerful, so great, so wonderful, we want to be like that. Because it's beautiful, it's charming, it's enchanting, it's powerful. So we want to be like that, but we can't be like that because there's only one Lord. So the only way that the Lord can reconcile this particular situation is he's got to give them an opportunity to feel like a Lord. And that's what this world is for. It's here to enable us to feel like a Lord, which is a complete falsity. You feel big, you feel great, you feel wonderful, you feel glorious. Everybody's applauding you because you're such a great singer, or you're a great dancer, or you're a great speaker, or you're a great doctor, and all of these. And therefore, as people applaud us and honor us and adore us, we feel great, we feel big, we feel wonderful. But 30, 40, 50 years later, we don't feel that way at all because old age begins to set in and we are not even able to do what we once did. So therefore, it's temporary. And the result of this temporary activity that we have, the result is that we begin to feel very sorrowful. Nobody's applauding me. Nobody's glorifying me. Nobody's looking up to me. Nobody's revering me. Nobody's respecting me. That is false ego. Me, I, mine. We should never live for the false ego. Actually, Our books are very clear on this. The whole idea of Krishna consciousness is to destroy the false ego and enliven or enlighten the real ego, which is, I am a spirit soul, and my business as spirit soul is to serve the Lord, honor the Lord, surrender to the Lord in every way, keep my mind on Krishna, and try to, in every way possible, bring him more pleasure than he already has. So if we keep our mind on God and not on our own glory, our own honor, our own applause, our own anything which has to do with distinction, adoration, profit, distinction, if we keep our mind off those things and on the lotus feet of the Lord and on serving those lotus feet, on distributing, for example, the words of the Lord, distributing the pictures of the Lord, applauding the Lord, and doing all of these types of things, Krishna, as we will see in the further of this verse, Krishna is extremely pleased. Not because he's a big egotist, but he likes to see us advance. And we advance the more we think of Krishna. As the old saying goes, always think of Krishna, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And by doing that, we stay fixed, focused on what we should be involved with instead of what we should not be involved with, such as, oh, what a great car that is. Oh, what a great boat that is. Oh, what a great movie that is. These things are useless. They're worthless. They give us nothing except sense gratification, which simply causes us to become attached to the sense pleasures. Becoming attached to them, we become habituated. When we become habituated, it is very difficult to leave them. And when we cannot leave them, then what happens is we do it again and again and again and again. That's any form of sense gratification. The way we get rid of them is to attach ourselves to Krishna, Krishna's words, Krishna's thoughts, Krishna's places where he lives. Anything and everything connected with or pertaining to the Supreme Lord. Songs about Krishna, even jokes about Krishna, as long as they are done in such a way as to give us reverence and joyfulness to Krishna. Krishna himself was always telling jokes. That was his nature, to be humorous. He never was over serious. On the other hand, when it was necessary to be serious, he sure was. Okay, so let me get forward on this. I don't want to miss these very important points. The word san, S-A-N, is also used in the sense of charity. We all know that charity means we give something without the desire to get something back. Otherwise, we call that fruitive charity. Fruitive means I'm doing it with the idea of getting a fruit. And if I don't get a fruit, I'll become upset. I'll be disturbed. I'll be shaken. Hey, I gave him this. He's not giving me anything. That's not the way a Krishna consciousness lives or should live. When a devotee gives something, he feels it's an opportunity to give this so that he can get rid of the selfishness that he naturally bears. We like to keep things for ourselves. Of course, as we grow up and we grow in Krishna consciousness, we want to give more. And that's Krishna's way. He's always doing something for his devotees. So trying to emulate our divine Lord, that's what helps us to become more like the divine. Srila Prabhupada was a perfect example of this. He was always doing things like the Supreme Lord. And he gave us a perfect example in himself so that if we try to emulate, we try to imitate, when I say, when I say imitate, to do as best as we can as the Lord does, but not to be pretentious, not to show ourselves in such a way as to make people think that we're something that we're not. There's no harm in being what we are, even if we're flawed, as long as we're trying the very best we can to do what we can. Okay? So the word san is also used in the sense of charity. Therefore, when everything is given up in charity, many of you devotees have already given up just about everything. You just have the clothes on your back pretty much, the books in your hand. And what does that mean? It means you've put Krishna above everything and everyone. And all you want to do is serve him. You want to distribute his words by book and by your own mouth. So as it says of here, and it's being done right this very moment, therefore when everything is given up in charity unto the Lord reciprocates by giving himself unto the devotee. He's doing that now. He's giving us the light so that we can see each other. He's giving us this beautiful marble floor. He's giving us the beautiful altar, which you can look at depending upon the capacity that we have for loving God. You can look out for hours. He's giving us the beautiful trees across the street. It could be barren, but it's not. He's giving us trees to look at, trees to even enjoy as Krishna's handiwork. There's no harm in looking at anything that Krishna himself has done if we recognize his greatness. Like the Karmis often say, oh, what a beautiful sunset. Oh, what beautiful clouds. Oh, what beautiful this. What is this? It's not a this and it's not a that. It belongs to the Supreme Lord and it's manifested from the Supreme Lord. It's God's property and it's God's creation. Let's give him the credit. I like, all these people, Academy Award people come out and they say, and so has just done this motion picture and we give him the Emmy or we give him this best whatever. So everybody to the great artist. What about the person who gives you the talent, the ability, the capacity to do all these wonderful, wondrous things? What about him? Oh, backseat, in the back. God, what has he got to do with any of this? He's just up in heaven doing his thing, having his fun, or just looking at the world. This is their foolish mentality. They don't want to give the credit to where it is due. And where is it due? It's due to the Lord. And when we give it to him with the full feeling of his greatness and glory, he's very pleased, because it means we want to take a little away from our own egotism and give to him what he truly deserves. Actually, we never can give him what he deserves, but at least we're making an effort to do that. And that effort that's being made means we are effacing, putting ourselves down, and in so doing, what happens is that Krishna picks us up. He pushes us up. That's the way it works, and that's the way I just read it. The Lord reciprocates by giving himself unto the devotee. This is also confirmed in the 4 Kumaras. One can at once see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself. So what we have here is the 4 Kumaras received from the Supreme Lord as a result of their devotion to him. By the way, they are called Shaktavesha avatar. That means a partial avatar. Not a full avatar like Lord Balaram or Lord Kapila or Lord Nrsingadev. These are full avatars. But when someone, for example, I take Prabhu here, Sachitanoi, and okay, he has certain amounts of ability and power. What if I have the Lord pour so much more power, for example, in speaking, or so much more power in book distribution? Instead of distributing 100 or 200 books a day, he starts distributing 900 books a day. Yeah, that's right, Haribol. So it can. Don't think it can happen. We have had so many examples along the line over the years where a person did many thousands of books in one day. They went into a factory and they didn't come out for 4 or 5. The Christmas marathons, they didn't come out for 4 or 5 hours. And they did amazing things. Even one of the devotees who did. The point that's being made is that's what Shaktavesha Avatar is. The Lord gives something of himself that we don't originally have. And when we have that, we become distinguished. We look very amazing, truly astonishing, because we're doing something that no one else has done, can do, and most likely will do unless the Lord allows that to happen. So that's the important point. The Kumaras, they were devotees, and as they were called Jnana avatars, okay? They're Jnana, their knowledge, and it was their knowledge that they had that enabled Lord Brahma to help create this world. What they remembered, they gave to Lord Brahma, and Brahma, of course, what they remembered is what the Lord enabled them to remember. We can't take the Lord out of this situation ever. And they themselves give honor. One other thing I like to say about the Kumaras, they're 5-year-old boys by their choice. They walk around naked. So somebody might say, isn't that kind of immoral? Well, they're 5-year-old. That's number one. That's not immoral. You go to every beach, you'll see little boys walking around without any clothes on. But the important point is they didn't want to have any sexual interest, sexual desire, sexual stimulation. If a woman would pass them, they just looked at them as if they were a stick of wood or just another form. There was no stimulation. So they liked that. It means they had no distraction. And without any distraction, they could go on with serving the Lord undistracted and fully enlivened, enlightened, which I hope everyone here will surely get, whether you're 5-year-old, whether you're 50 years old. If you take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, you will be free of all sexual desire eventually. Because pure love of God takes away the lower forms of pleasure and lifts one to a higher form of pleasure. And this is mentioned very clearly in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I want to thank you all very much for sitting patiently. I'm surprised nobody went to sleep today. Maybe next time. Okay. Are there any questions or any comments? Yeah, Archana, please. I'm not going to forget you. Go ahead. I did the rest of the purport. I did, yeah, no, I read it. 4 Kumaras, one can at once see. Well, tell me what I did, and I'll be happy to. Okay, let me see. If I slipped over some words, thank you very much for calling that to my attention. Can you? I'm trying to find out where it is. The 411? Where's it? 411. Okay, thanks so much. Not a problem. Is it just that paragraph there? Yeah, no, I'm aware of that, and I was planning on talking about that verse. Okay, so what Archana has nicely mentioned is in, let me just get page 3, which is right here. Sorry about, oh, here it is. Yeah. So, the word son, I know I read this part, but maybe not the part following it. The word son is also used in the sense of charity. Therefore, when everything is given up in charity unto the Lord reciprocates by giving himself unto the devotee. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4:11. Again, thank you, Archita. Yeyata mam prabhadyante. So, that means as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. You all know, everyone knows that, right? So Prabhupada comments on that particular point. Brahmaji wanted to create the whole cosmic situation as it was in the previous millennium. Now this is another thing I have to take a few moments on. Prabhupada does not mean 1,000 years when he says millennium here. He means 4,320,000 years. Sometimes he means 4,320,000,000 years. I have found those 2 examples. So, therefore, when we see millennium by Prabhupada, generally it means the 2 examples that I have specified. And because of the last devastation, that means devastation means the disintegration or the destruction of the world, knowledge of the absolute truth was altogether erased from the universe. He desired that the same knowledge again be renovated or revealed or revived. Otherwise, there would be no meaning in the creation. Because transcendental knowledge is a prime necessity, the ever-conditioned soul are given a chance. This is it right here. A chance for liberation in every millennium, in every 4,320,000 or 4,320,000,000 years of creation. That's a kalpa, by the way, 4 billion. This mission of Brahmaji was fulfilled by the grace of the Lord when the 4 sanas, the Kumaras, namely Sanaka, Sanatkumara, Sanandana, and Sanatana, appeared as his 4 sons. Okay? So these 4 sanas were incarnations of the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, and as such they explained transcendental knowledge so explicitly that all the sages could at once assimilate this knowledge without the least difficulty. That's very much like when a person speaks, and he speaks very well, speaks very clearly, he speaks in a very excellent ABC or organized fashion. Everyone gets it clearly. But when a person speaks in a very disorganized fashion, interrupting himself over and over again, everybody wants to go to sleep. Wake up. Hey. So that's the end of, did I cover everything? I believe I did. Yeah, but you interrupted. Could you want to give us a comment on that? Yes, I thought I read that. I'm almost sure I did. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I can do it again if I did. And as such, they explained transcendental knowledge so explicitly, which I just said, that all the sages could at once assimilate this knowledge without the least difficulty. By following in the footsteps of the 4 Kumaras, who are worshippers, devotees, lovers, surrendered to the Supreme Lord and to their father, Lord Brahma, one can at once see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself. That's total surrender. Okay? Anything else? No. Thank you very much. Again, my apologies for not doing it all in a continuous fashion. I'll try to do better next time. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Made a lot of really nice points in your class. I appreciate it.
Tell me what they were. I've already forgotten.
Well, you were talking about how